Okay, all right, given I'm just an idiotic, stupid dog, and I mean that sincerely, I'm not that bright. If just because I can talk, I was bestowed almost as if it was a miracle. If you'll remember, if you search your own remembrance, or you could go back in the troves of the posts and the offerings, if you go back through the troves, you would find the whole backstory. It's all there. But just to give you a brief synopsis, my master, the man, he's an oxygen deprivation injury survivor. He's a little not so smart because he had so bad near drowning when he was a child. He's an inheritor, and he's trying to scratch out the best living he can. He's what you would call real estate rich. He's only got one piece of real estate. Actually, he goes to visits a lot of other beautiful places. It happens very rarely with his family members, but he didn't have any siblings, but his other family members. And they're all the same thing. They're so cold, it's crazy. But he's normal. Because he was oxygen deprivation, he lost his elitism. But he lives an elite life in a manor house. It's a beautiful estate in a glorious, giant, super old scale, well-preserved, elitist, wealthy neighborhood situated somewheres in western Kentucky. Not too western, mind you. Back a little from the border. Western, the nice part, western. So anyways, it's a beautiful, you wouldn't believe, it had to be some kind of a thing where they had a steel mill, all kinds of mills, smokestacks, now it's all restaurants and everything, and it's gentrified, whatever you would say. It's not really gentrified, it's the same kind of people that are always there. It's the same exact ones. There's almost no diversification. But anyways, it's okay. It's all right. It's the way it is. But it's situated where you go a little ways and you come to a nice, beautiful part of town, whatever. It's gorgeous. But one of the things that strikes me, when they say something disparaging about Kentucky, don't lose it, Kentucky. Be tough. You can't worry about if somebody says something negative. And I'm a dog who's lived my whole entire life, except for a very sliver of time. My entire existence has been in Kentucky. So please, I was born, raised, lived my whole thing in Kentucky, but I've been to Pennsylvania. We had a summer house when I was a pup, and it was right on the border with New York. So we were, in New York State and Pennsylvania quite a bit. So, but that was where we visited. It's like the way George Bush, he was born in Massachusetts, someplace in a quaint little, weirdo town, like a hippie town in Massachusetts. But he said he was a Texan, and he bought a lot of real estate, had a lot of beautiful, ranches and double wides down in George II now has a big estate. They all like to be Texas people. If they weren't going to be Texas people, they were going to claim to be Florida people, but they were really just Massachusetts people. And that's why they love that Hyannisport bullshit up there, way up north, Hyannisport. It's where all the elitists of the elite go. But anyways, the point I was trying to make is that I had some time, some influence, but I'm Kentucky, born and bred. So if I say something bad about Kentucky, don't collapse. And if somebody from the outside said something bad about you, you wouldn't shoot their head off. If somebody's picking on you, Kentucky, you wouldn't shoot their head off. Just try to remember that one. But anyways, the one thing I'll say about Kentucky is, if you're in this elitist, posh neighborhood, and just a few avenues over, you get to a nice, beautiful neighborhood. Then a few streets, avenues past that, you start to get in a regular neighborhood. You get to a working class neighborhood. You get to an industrial. So it's all right there. You just, so it's conglomerated in, but it's just this egalitarian thing because everybody goes to all the nice restaurants and all the best, whatever. So the best deals, the best values for your dollars. Some old school people from the old world countries that are still doing it the right way, hand over foot, hand to mouth, whatever you call it. We're all congregating there, so we're intermingled. So I know what I'm talking about. It's still the only place. Maybe you could go to I don't know where, but this place is still very few of the people that that you look around, that you say something to when you're out, whatever, golfing or hanging out or building something or just you're in traffic. It's like only 25% of them have smartphones. Or if they have a smartphone, they don't know how to use it. Or they don't know about Google. It's one of those three things. So you could turn to somebody where I live and you could say, hey, look it up and Google it. And they're like, what? Huh? You're like, well, yeah, I could prove it to you. Google it right now. Just say 2 words. You could say 2 words in your phone. You hit the speaker, say 2 words, Google it, It would bring up a choice. You would read through the 4 or 5 choices. You would click on the choice that was precisely exactly what you wanted, and we could prove it. We could get even more precise. With 3, 4, 5 words, you could bring up anything on Google. Google it. I'll show you what I'm talking about. I'll tell you what I mean. Like, man, what? What do you? I don't. And they look, and the guy's got a flip phone. Flip phone. I'm like, they're making old school flip phones in Kentucky to satisfy the urge of Kentuckians not to advance and get more technologically advanced or just advancing in general. Staying right there at the same, it's kind of a catchy, kind of kitschy, whatever. It's pretty nice. Believe me. You know, I don't know, maybe it makes life seem like it's taking longer. Maybe. I don't know. But you say to the guy, hey, buddy, Google it. Google the name of the restaurant. Like, Google? What are you talking about? Google. What is that? You're like, Google. You look over, he's got a flip phone. And now they're coming out with new flip phones. They're called flip phones, but they're not even flip phones. They're just really dumbed down, slow. I wouldn't say retarded, but, mentally challenged cell phones that they don't do very much, but just dial in and out. That's about it. You can call in or out. And if you want to do something else, it's not made for you. You got to get a better phone. But that's how like 25 to 45% hot sales right now. That's how many people love those things. So you could be where I live, and you could need an address of a restaurant, or you could want to know what the weather was, or you could have a dispute. One guy might be saying Sirhan was the guy who shot John F. Kennedy. The other guy says it's the guy who shot Bobby Kennedy. And the third guy, he's saying he shot the other guy, Ronald Reagan. Little did he know. All he had to do was Google it, but all three of them, one of them had a smartphone like an Apple 14. He's like, I don't know how to use this thing. What are you, crazy? The other guy said, look at me, I got the newest flip phone. And the other guy said, I have a flip phone. And nobody could Google nothing. So that's the one kind of thing I would say kind of sets us apart, is that there's a lot of technology, whatever you would call abstination or agnosticism. There's a lot of technological advancement agnosticism, where you don't acknowledge something even exists and you're not even there. You're like, hey, what? What are you talking about? Google? What are you, stupid? This is a phone. What, you got a computer in your pocket? What are you, a moron? God almighty. God bless you, son.